Christmas time, oh yeah. Oh, Merry Christmas to the chat. Hello, welcome to the Unsure Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. It's Monday. I'm joined by Owen Jackson on my co-host of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stat Center show. Owen, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, a little bit tired, but yeah, a weekend of gaming under my belt. Feeling a little festive. Yeah, I'm great, man. How are you?
Very festive. Very festive. This week it's Santa Rob in the house. Very excited. Got myself a new backdrop and a new name for the week. I finally kicked evil twin Rob out and defeated him. We took our tops off and we fought in the rain last night for several hours. It was very fun. And I reigned supreme. Or did I? Or am I really evil twin Rob pretending to be Santa Rob? You'll never know. Will be the answer. But I'm great. Yeah, everything well? Everything well?
Yeah.
How you feeling in tier 4?
Yeah, it doesn't feel much different to tiers 3, 2, or 1, to be honest with you. Yeah, still surrounded by a sort of crushing sense of impending doom. But yeah, no, all good. Apart from that, we're living in our little fantasy worlds, which is a great escape, isn't it? So yeah, I'm pretty cool, man.
It's really exciting. There's also the impending sense of doom available from the Winter FAQ, or as I like to call it, the FAQ. No, I couldn't come up with a good name. If anyone can do some sort of like FAQ in lieu, sort of. Oh, that one works.
Yeah.
Sort of that'd be fun. Can I just say thank you to Dan Don't for subscribing, and to Skinny Boots for subscribing. Both of you, big dick energy there. Love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm just pumped. I don't know why. I've been really looking forward to this week 'cause it's Christmas. I know that's not the best week for everyone sometimes. Some people love it, some people don't. But I'm just going to be streaming all week. Like, I'm putting up a schedule later. I'm going to do all of Christmas Eve. I'm going to do all Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I'm just going to be fucking hanging out here, not eating turkeys. Thanks, Crazy Horse, for donating 6.69 to the show. Woohoo! Kicked us off. And that's it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. Plus, we actually had events at the weekend to talk about some coverage.
Yeah, damn straight. Yeah, man. Lots of Warhammer was going on at the weekend.
Loads.
I think I've got, we've got the Secret Santa tournament and Simon's Southern Scrap. And I've even got a bit of information from Russia. I didn't tell you about that. Got some information from Russia.
Oh, rushing in with the news.
From Russia with love.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about that. You didn't tell me about that. Can I just say thanks, Anthony, for donating some cash to the shoe. Love that. That's great. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? So we've got an Australian event. They're all allowed to have events now. They're having a great time. Yeah, well done. You're all legends. So you had Simon's Scrap, which we're going to talk about. There was the TTS Secret Santa event, which was, again, that was online. So that's Tabletop Simulator. If you've never heard of that before, really exciting. Where all the lists were written for the players and then they played through. And then I want to ask about Russia. What's going on in Russia? Other than, I don't know if you heard about this, the scientist or doctor who's currently working on the Russian cure for COVID, unfortunately died yesterday, having fallen out of a window from the 14th floor of a building, was also stabbed. Yeah, right.
Okay.
The police think it might be suspicious.
Nah, man, it's just, one of those sort of guys who likes to play with knives on balconies. Just slip. We play with toy soldiers, and that's what we do. So who are we to judge the Russian vaccination team?
Or the murderers of. This is what scares me about doing any Russian event coverage, because I'm like, am I falling from a building at some point? Like, if I'm like, I'm a Deepkin are too strong, do I get thrown out of a window? Who knows? Let's find out, Eric. Like, well, let's go there. I'll risk it. I don't give a shit. I want to meet the Russian guys. Yeah.
Well, we've given it the big build-up, but it wasn't a huge tournament. But it was my friend Philip, who I've got to know through playing. Yeah, Philip Kartiev from the Russian ETC team. It sounds a bit like, I'm sure it was more serious than Crimbobo, but a Christmas-themed, a Christmas doubles event in a place called Kazan. Now, I haven't done my usual bit of geographical research, I'm afraid, Rob. All I know about Kazan is they've got a football team called Rubin Kazan, but that's it. But yeah, it was a Russian doubles tournament, 12 teams of 2 players each. And Philip was victorious with his, oh, damn it, I haven't got his opponent, his partner's name. But yeah, a combined alliance of Hammerhall and Lumineth took out the tournament. So,
Wait, so it was a doubles event
Yeah.
and a combined team of Hammer Hall and Lumineth.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. +1, no, they'll be fighting in their territory, and then also maybe a bunch of Sentinels. We don't know the list though.
I do know the list actually.
Oh.
I've got the highlights. Literally, it's pretty gross. It's a Phoenix and 30 Phoenix Guard and something else, and then 30 Wardens was the block. So he's basically got 60 of the best battle line in the game combined together. So it just sounded like a sort of rock, and it was he had Sire, so he could double tap the Eighth of Quartz. So yeah, sounded pretty strong, pretty punchy. Yeah, I think that would grind out most other armies. Like 30 Phoenix Guard, 30 Wardens sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. Pretty horrible. I mean, it's a great, and also it would look really thematic. If you think about it, you would end up with the 30 Phoenix Guard like as holding the front line, yeah, with their halberds, and then behind them a bunch of other elves with their long ass sticks, 3-inch range. So you could create like a buttress. What was that? What was that thing? I need to massively thank AOS Pete for donating £6, 16 quid to the show. And also to Lee Bromley for donating 10 quid to the show. You guys are so fucking cool. Thanks so much. We're working on a 3D printer farm now, Owen. We've already got one on the way. So now we're going for a whole farm. And then we're going to do terrain giveaways. You excited? Every month we're going to do a terrain giveaway. And we're like, oh, look, I've painted a tower with a picture of Nathan Prescott's face on. Who would like this? It's going to be... Go on.
If you're a print farm, shouldn't you be giving away animals, 3D printed animals or monsters? That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I
mean, it's a farm. I'm just being silly.
I missed it. I have AOS Pete says in order to donate the money, he does want me to do a shout out, so I will. My donation comes with a request. Please, can you shout out my result against Nick from Essex Moor Tribes? I beat him with my Skaven for the first time. Well done, Pete. It's always good when you like conquer a new enemy. Yeah, that's great. Thanks to also Tom Jens for donating a tenner. Oh my god, you guys are so lovely. Tick, tick, tick. Stop now because I can't handle it anymore. Thank you, Lee Bromley. Thank you. You can't wait to watch you do jelly shots and make someone have liver poisoning sometime soon. That'll be really fun. I was going to say, what is the thing when you wear a suit, Owen, but it's fancy? You'll know this, but it's like a layer. Cummerbund. That's how the cummerbund list. That's what I feel like it's like.
Would you care to go further?
Well, it's like just a layer in front of another layer, I think, really.
Nice. I see what you did there. Yeah, sweet.
It's not very good, I don't think. It probably wasn't worth it. Right. Okay.
I'm laughing. I'm sure the audience is laughing.
You laughed yesterday at fucking Dog After an Ice Cream, didn't you?
I love it. This is the first, for the viewers, this is the first time I can see Rob when we're having a conversation, so it's great, actually. I get to see my pal while we have a little
I get to see my pal. Yeah, it's great. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, so the Russia that was the result in Russia. So I know it's not that, and I haven't given you much in-depth information about the lists or anything like that, but yeah. I think very much like you saw at Crimbobo. I remember Andy Hughes and Alex Bruce. They took out Crimbobo with a absolute filth of 30 of the shooty magma pike dudes in the Fire Slayers. What are they called? Auric Hearthguard. They combined 30 Auric Hearthguard with a load of I want to say the Nighthaunt battle line, whatever they're called. The really cheap guys. So they just had huge big screens of unkillable, ethereal, shambling hordes backed up by a load of dwarves with guns. And it was a disgusting combination that could just rinse anything.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with doubles. I would like to thank Skinny Boots for donating £10 to the Printer Fund also. And I'd also like to twiddle my tittles for him. I would... that was what I was doing, Owen. That was what that was at.
It was great.
Like do you really think like Age of Sigmar works as a doubles thing? Like if you could just combine any old shit? It just seems... Lure of the Gods, thanks for resubscribing. I hope you have a great Christmas and someone gives you a large present in your pants. Have you... Do you know what I mean? Do you think it works?
It's a tricky one because you take 1,000 points each, and then if you do have a very polarized army that does one thing really, really well, and then you combine that with another polarized army or polarized unit that does something really, really well, then you sort of combine something which can be incredibly OP. Are you okay? You're having a
Yeah, no, I want to keep hearing your point. I'm going to MJ Pixness, being an angel, has donated another 16p, but that's taken us a grand total of £69.69p. Basically makes it perfect. I don't want anyone to donate any more money ever. Thank you so much. Thank you loads. Please keep going, Owen. It's derailing.
I think I'd run out of juice, to be honest with you, mate.
Okay.
Well, no, all it was I think that you can take. It's difficult when you can share CP and stuff like that, because you might get an army which can generate loads of CP and then they don't need to use it and they just give it to the other army which really benefits from loads of CP. And there are ways, if you're cute and you build it well, there are ways to really manipulate it. And also at a doubles tournament, especially around Christmas time, you'll have a lot of people who just want to go there and put on a costume and get wankered. So, if you go there with a really tight plan and you manipulate the system, then you can benefit. Yeah.
To quote one of my favourite TV shows, Workaholics, it's super tight butthole. That is...
Whoa!
Super tight butthole is a great way, like super tight butthole. All right, so yeah, it's weird sometimes because you end up... Because the game isn't really designed for it, I don't think. I would like to see maybe doubles, but it would be cool to see two sub-factions kind of mixed from a book. Do you know what I mean? So, you both have to play Tzeentch. You can't replicate War Scrolls, and then you got to play around with your sub-factions in 1,000 points. I think that would be quite interesting. But yeah, anyway. Okay, so that was the Russian doubles event. Question to the Twitch chat and to Owen. If there was... let's say you can only attend 5 events next year. Obviously hypothetical, ignoring Rona 2. Let's say you could attend 5 events. Would any of them be doubles events? Would you specifically pick one? So you got singles, doubles, and teams. Which are you most interested in, flirting with? If there's a priority order for you, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, doubles is down the bottom. I'd probably go teams, singles, doubles in that order. Yeah. So teams is the top, then singles, then doubles.
Yeah, I think that makes loads of sense. Yeah, I agree with you. I think doubles is fun, but I think you almost do Anvils of Apotheosis. You do you throw loads of shit in there. You make it so that it's easy to break the game because it's super fucked, or you just have a grand adventure, and just everything's wild and just come up with all sorts of stuff. Singles, teams, doubles, says John Thompson. Diagram plans on doubles event. Okay. I have honestly never tried doubles as Sergeant Rolf, but I think I prefer singles, then team, then doubles. Yeah, okay. All right, so talking, where do you want to do next? TTS, or do you want to talk Australia?
Hey, man, it's your show, brother. What would you like to do?
It's our show! No!
Okay.
Twitch chat, can we admit, the Monday show now is Owen and Rob's show. It's a whole thing. We'll set our own YouTube up for the Age of Sigmar Stat Center. It's going to be a wild ride. Because we'll actually do stats next year. That's one of the things. That's something I can announce. I have plans so that we'll actually do stats. So we didn't collect it during the COVID period, and it still is the COVID period next year. But I think we might be able to actually garner and generate stats thanks to Australia and New Zealand kicking ass. So we might be able to actually put stats out over the next 6 months. So I'm going to bring that bit to the party, Owen. You've got to bring your luscious face and your gorgeous notes. Can I see your notes today, please? Everyone, you should always check out Owen's notes.
What about my nose? What's going on with it?
Your notes. Have you not done any pictures on your notes today?
Oh, I think it said my nose. I was like, what's going on there? Okay, yeah, I've got some notes. I've just written on I've got a pink post-it note which just says Dark Souls, because I was up till 4 a.m. playing Dark Souls. All these hipsters playing Cyberpunk 2077. Screw that. Yeah, is that okay?
My notes aren't anywhere near as nice as your notes. Yours are so pretty.
I've got another. There's another one actually there. Yeah, I've got some list tech. I've also come up with quite possibly one of my most favourite Warhammer Age of Sigmar puns ever, which I'm going to lay down on you in a little bit. Yeah, that was a shower moment yesterday. Woohoo!
Hold on, no, there's some chatting that there's some listen, if people can help support me in the channel and disrupt the show, they can definitely disrupt it for this. Importantly, Lou Diamonds asks, which Dark Souls?
Number 1. I'm starting at the start. I know that Demon Souls was the first one, so don't at me. But I'm playing Dark Souls Remastered just on my PS4 because, I think that the world in which I inhabit there digitally is less doom laden than our current reality. So, I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time.
Okay. The OG's still the best. Everyone seems really happy about that. There's an actually from MJ, so maybe that's Demons. Who knows? But I'm really happy you're into it, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, so I can get rid of that post-it note now.
Done. Talked about Dark Souls. It's a great time for everyone. So I would like to talk about Australia.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So Simon's event. So this is Simon Hall. We've had on the show several times. Lovely fella. Lovely fella. So he ran an event near Queensland, specifically Logan, but everyone calls it... Doesn't everyone call it Bogan?
Yes, they do. I was sent some information about it being voted Australia's shittiest city 2 years in a row, but I thought it might be a bit rude to announce that. But I've just done it now, so there we go.
Anyway, so we talked about the list the other day on the show, which I was excited about on Friday, which was super fun. And we picked out some hot takes. And it's a 5-game event. So 5-game event over 2 days. It was using actual models and real human people, which was fun. And it got taken out by a list, which it's quite surprising, actually. But the list is surprising, the player not. I saw Carwin play earlier this year at CanCon 2020 on the tabletop. Just a phenomenally precise player. Like really precise, really on, and played a really stellar game. It was really unfortunate the game just didn't go his way in the matchup that he played, but was just a really, really good example of his skill and precision. So it's unsurprising that Carwin took the top spot himself as a player. However, that's that would be unfair to a very prodigious field. There was a lot of very good players that have been at Masters events. You've got Gemma, Chris Welfare, a whole bunch of people. You obviously got Dave Kerr, the former Australian Master, at the event as well. So there are some genuinely competent players there. So to pick the post and get into that top spot is genuinely an impressive feat, especially with a list which is normally I'll write you an OBR list. If I see it at number 1, I'll write you the list. And Owen, as an OBR fan, how did you feel about it? Should we say what's in it and say what you think of the list?
Yeah, very much so. One point of interest is, I believe, I'll triple check this actually, but I'm pretty sure it was the only 5-0. He's the only, he's the only 5-0. And I mean, if I was being a little bit sort of witty or whatever, then I would probably say that this is one of those lists that on the outside looks like these are my models. It does look like a collection rather than, so I was, one thing, do you remember, was Carwin playing OBR at CanCon when you saw him play, or was he playing something else?
No, he's playing Cities. I feel
but
I honestly, I think he was playing in a Cities match where it was he playing Cities? He might have been playing OBR. I think he might have been playing against Cities. I should go back and check, to be honest. But no, I don't remember.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I just was just seeing whether he's been crafting this over time. But so the list is, I'm not sure if you've got it on screen or if I read it out.
Yeah, you have to read it because we've only got it in the weird PDF.
Yeah. So it's Ossiarch Bone Reapers. It's the Mortis Praetorians, which is what you often see. And it's Catacross, the big K himself, K-Bop, the Mortarch of the Necropolis.
So far, really regular.
Yeah. A Soul Mason, again, often seen. Arcane Command for some extra discipline. K-hole. Sorry, Lou Diamonds just got me. Yeah, he definitely fell into a K-hole with this one. So he's got a Soul Mason with Arcane Command for the extra discipline points. And then he has 20 Mortek Guard, 10 Mortek Guard, 5 Cavalot Death Riders. They make up his battle line. So a very, min battle line in both the quantity of units and the amount of models in each unit. And then he has 3 Necropolis Stalkers, 2 Gothazar Harvesters, and a Mortek Crawler. Wow.
Yeah. So it's the Stalkers are the weird inclusion, right? That's one of the things that kind of throws me about the not that Stalkers aren't good. Let me just get this list up. I rate the Stalkers. Ever since the book come out, I've been fucking Black Country folk there. Ever since the book came out, sorry, I've been watching too much CAD file. I've been watching
That's a physical impossibility, by the way, Rob. You can never watch too much CAD file.
just for the 35 pluses in the room. Right, so... but the Stalkers are good. They're blender units, like absolute blenders. But the thing that fascinates me here is just how few bodies there really are. That 20 Mortec, it's just 20 wounds. Just 20. Like, that's the biggest block of dudes he's got. Now, obviously, like, I didn't know if he ran the 20 with a Harvester behind and then the 10 with the Harvester behind, or he ended up doing, like, 2 behind the 20, if that makes sense. But, like, it's fascinating. I would have expected, with those Harvesters, to have seen more Mortec on the board, but there isn't. Like, and I think one of the key elements here is just how... now he took out my pick for the event win, which was my Cities of Sigmar, well, not mine, but a Cities of Sigmar list with a bunch of Iron Drakes and Hammerers. So I was like all pro that. And then Carwin ended up beating this list. So I was trying to break down like exactly how that would go about. And I guess obviously the crawlers can do phenomenal work. Absolutely. And Catacross has got so many good abilities, right? Steal your CP, make you -1 to hit. Like some pretty like key bits. But I honestly don't see where the power is, Owen. Am I missing something? Like, this is really your like bag, this army, right?
Yeah, I mean, on the Harvesters, I don't think you can do it whereby the 2 Harvesters sit behind 1 unit and double up, because you could do a meme list where you just put 4 Harvesters behind 1 big unit of 40, and then it just never... You need to do like 1 million damage. So there is... I think it is literally 20 and a Harvester, and then 10 with a Harvester. And then there's some really interesting things, because again, the Liege Cavalos, you often see the Liege Cavalos, and again, say JP Stevens, Sheffield Slaughter list, you had Catacross and the Liege, and what that means is Catacross's slow 4-inch movement. You can push him up the board, and he doesn't have to hang back and buff the crawler to give it the extra attacks, or the crawlers. Whereas in this, he's got no Liege. So wholly within 12, he's going to be able to give the crawlers a +1, or the singular crawler +1 attack. But then he's not in a position to be mid-board, and it doesn't feel like the rest of the army has a huge amount of output to win the game. It's really... I have actually got... I've looked at everything he beat, which may be of interest if you like.
It is.
So round 1, he beat Lumineth Realm Lord's Asaya list without Techless. Whoa! Look at that.
Whoa! Yeah, SFL Mongoose. Thank you so much for donating £69 and 69p. You get a punch dance out of me. Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. That's fucking Merry Christmas to you, SFL Mongoose. It's fucking podcast, guys. I'm sorry, you have to always listen to me thank the chat, but the chat fucking baller as shit. That means you should join the chat and get in with the team. Yeah, you're a hero. Thanks, SFL Mongoose. Sorry, Owen, please continue. I'm going to just type lovely things to him in the chat.
No, I'm just going to say hello to my cousin Adam, who's able to watch a live show for the first time in months. So
is that Adam Jackson? He always comments on the YouTube. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, it's my cousin. He's the one who got me back into the hobby. We wouldn't know each other.
The guy who wrote the card?
Yeah.
I fucking love that guy. Oh, he's great.
You met him at Bloodshed in the Shires.
Yeah. He's a really nice guy. Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Anyway,
given how many streams I've watched this year, says FL Mongoose, it probably works out to 50p a stream, which is honestly still, I think, too much for me.
So, he beat Lumineth Realm Lord's Asaya list, Techless free Asaya list. So he would have had a lot of bodies in that, a lot of Wardens. And then he beat Pat Carter, who was running a Squig heavy Gits list. He then beat a Beasts of Chaos list. He beat the Cities, and then in round 5, he beat the list that we both like, the Daughters of Cain Calibron list, the
teleport list, which ended up coming in second, right?
Yes, and then Chris Welfer in third. So it was quite nice to see that some of the lists we picked out did well over the weekend.
Though, like, I would have watched, if I could. This is one of those situations where, like, and one of the things obviously I'd like to work towards with the T-Sports Arena and everything that we're going to do in the future when live events happen, I would like to have watched every one of those games. I want to understand how he beats, like, all those mortal wounds coming out of the Lumineth. Do you know what I mean? I want to understand how he takes out Marathi. Like, because Marathi, you feel like Marathi just ends up going into the 20 and just takes him out. Because it's like, you can't kill Marathi in a turn. you should be able to like take out the 20, and then you're really just hitting on all the bodies. And I just like, is it opponent misplays? Is it Carwyn being a legend? Is it like, I was like wondering about the Sigmar list. I was like, did Forge Fire not go off for the Rend? So you end up like dropping in, like, because that's a big deal. It's a 3-up. It doesn't happen all the time. So that could be a big deal in that turn where it's really, really important. Like, there's just so much to unpack, and I really like. I'm going to give him a message and see if he'll come on the show to talk about it, because I'd be fascinated to see. But anyway, yeah, like really, really interesting list, because it feels like, especially like the overlapping synergies are not prevalent, right?
No, I mean that's the thing with the Bone Reaper's army, is it's not flashy. There's not many tricks. It's very attrition based, and it has high quality saves and good efficiency. And obviously he's got that reach with the crawler, which can screw up people's deployment often, threatening small characters and things, which might push the army back a bit. But really and truly, it's kind of like what you see is what you get. Sort of, it's on the war scrolls, the strength is there, and they've got their death saves. And Catacross does bring a hell of a lot, and he's incredibly difficult to kill. But he's not a monster, so he doesn't benefit from those missions where monsters score extra. The Harvesters are monsters, I believe. Yes, they are. So they would help on mission play. But he hasn't got a ton of battle line. But it does.
He hasn't got a ton of bodies either.
No, but I suppose it does. It poses questions like, what do you kill? Say you're there with your 30 Iron Drakes. What do you shoot at? Because you can shoot at the troops, but then it'll bring the Harvester will just bring them back. You can focus down on the Harvester, but then he's got 2, so he can then sort of move one over to the big block if it dies.
But I can kill. So wait. So let me just get this right. So there's 20 Mortek, right? And I shoot into them, and I kill all 20 Mortek, right? Yep. At that point, the Harvester activates.
Yes, at that point, you choose any models that die within 3 inches. You can roll, and on a 4+, you can return or heal back to a unit within 6. So I've played in the past with Harvesters. If somebody, you can use the death of the troops around them to heal the Harvesters back up. And then he has obviously got healing from Catacross, who's putting models back into the units. But then he's got no Bone Shapers. I think the overall learning here is that Carwyn's good at Warhammer. I think that's the learning. That's all I can say, really, because there's nothing in the list that's making me think like this is his path to victory. I mean, I would say that he hasn't come up against, outside of the dwarves, who've got issues in getting right in your face without the Soul Scream bridge. There was no teleport there. He hasn't faced something with an egregious amount of shooting, such as a Tzeentch or perhaps like a Seraphon with a teleport and shoot mechanic. I think that may have he may have come unstuck there. He's faced a lot of combat armies effectively, and Bone Reapers love fighting in combat. So, but yeah, I do think it comes down to player skill, I think, Rob.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Very interested. Very interested to see. Everyone says I look like a wet bandit, Owen, because of I've got a Christmas background. Wet Bandit from Home Alone.
Okay, yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wet Bandits. Yeah.
Is that the name of the little sort of crew?
Yeah, but like that's what they would do. They would keep like whenever they robbed the house, they would then flood the house. And then he was like, we're the Wet Bandits. And he's like, it's our calling card. He's like, don't leave a calling card, because then if we ever get caught, they'll know all the houses that we've robbed. Yeah. Anyway.
So Carwyn took it out. I mean, again, I'm just looking now, the Beasts of Chaos list that he would have had to go against. With all the ambushing and stuff, there's a lot of tricks going on there and a lot of crap to chew through. He's faced quite a few different threats. So, yeah, fair play. There was another list that I wouldn't mind talking about, if that's all right. And I'm sure you're happy about this, which was the Flesh Eater Courts list run by Chris Welfare.
Which came in third.
4-1. I could have a quick look and just see what he came unstuck against. Actually, let's do that just for a bit of
That'd be fun. To let everyone know, Corey, who came in second, he had the teleporting DOK list, so it's Calibron. He had the new Shadow Stalkers in as well. So there was a lot of like teleporting around the board, along with Marathi. So what you're looking at there, we talked about this a lot, or Owen talked about it a lot on Friday, ultimately. And again, that went 4-1 as well. And I think that's quite interesting because, number one, it's not a Hagnar list. That's really important. It had a lot of different units to what you traditionally saw in very, very successful Daughters of Cain list, which normally was Sisters of Slaughter. You would have a big cauldron, and that would be in Hagnar, and that was your traditional list. So to see a very weird, very janky, very running around different sort of Daughters of Cain list with bonus stuff coming out of the new Marathi book is really important, and Corey should be congratulated on the second place. And then in third place, the Flesh Eater Corpse list, Owen.
Yes, so I did have a quick check, and it was Corey's Daughters of Cain, which inflicted the only loss on Chris Welfare's Hollow Morn Flesh Eaters list. And yes, Speckles, this is just for you. So yeah, looking at it, it's Hollow Morn. Now, Hollow Morn is, I don't know, I've seen it come up a bit, and we did very briefly touch on it on Friday, but it's coming up as a sort of the connoisseur's pick, because obviously.
Keep going, Owen.
Yeah.
No, I'm just.
Sorry, I thought you were telling me. Now that I can see you, I thought you were like, hold up there, son. You're getting it wrong.
Go on, I was just resetting my camera.
So yeah, Hollow Morn. Obviously, you started off. Feckbook came out. Gristlegore everywhere. Everyone loves to eat stuff with dragons. Mm-hmm. Then Blister Skin was your kind of your sort of slightly left field pick. But again, you did see that doing very well.
But never winning, really. It was almost, you saw them win a couple. When there was loads and loads of events all the time, they did sneak through. But it was almost always Gristlegore with hipster like people drinking their pea lattes at the corner shops, and waiting to eat a babka, and they were like, yeah, listen, I run this. But you also saw other stuff as well. You saw Mordants in some cases being run. You've seen Horde Ghouls run as well.
Yep.
So like there were some fringe cases of other lists doing well and performing well, but predominantly like 90% Gristlegore. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think that there's one main reason why people are bringing Hollow Morn, and we'll touch on that. But just to give the folks at home the list itself. So it's Hollow Morn. It's an Abhorrent Ghoul King on a Royal Zombie Dragon, who has the Corpse Fane Gauntlet, Spectral Host as his spell, and the Razor Clawed Mount trait. Then an Abhorrent Archregent with Deranged Transformation as the spell. And then the special source, the Vargulf Courtier, who has the Grave Robber trait and the Bilious Decanter. Ooh. Never going to get bored of saying that. And then the units are 10 Crypt Ghouls, 6 Crypt Horrors, an absolute steal at 260, I think. 6 Crypt Horrors, and then 9 Crypt Flayers, and that's the Royal Mordants Battalion and an extra CP. So 4 drop, 1980, so a reasonable Triumph bid. No Chalice, Rob, which
massive. But there's only one dragon, right?
Yeah, true. But it does heal back into the smaller units as well. The Chalice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I just don't think that was the key feature of why so Chalice of Usharan, if you guys are just unaware, effectively what it would do is units slaughtered around it would then heal units around it as well. Effectively, it was an endless spell. You almost traditionally saw it seen, but I could also see it not being taken with the level of magic dominance out there. Like normally, like we saw with the Flesh Eater Corpse list that did really well recently a couple of weeks ago, where what they decided to do was go like CP heavy as opposed to try and like ally in the Crypts cart. Like Speckles is in the chat with me and Speckles at Six Nations a couple of years ago. All we saw was a corpse cart. With Unholy Lodestone for the +1 to cast. People trying to push into the reliability of the spellcasting. So I guess there's also the choice of maybe it's not as efficient because there's not 2 dragons to heal around, but also, and I think importantly, getting those spells off. I wonder if there was a spare spell slot as well. I mean, everything accounted for, really. Obviously, D3 attacks, you want that going off. Running charge, like there might just not have been a spare spell slot to cast anyway. So
no, that's very, very fair. Hollow Morn, it's got a couple of abilities. There's a command ability for +1 to run and charge, which is quite nice, especially when you can run and charge from the spell. And you get to reroll 1s to wound on the charge, which is quite nice.
That's really good, because I don't
Yeah.
think you can actually get rerolls to wound on the jaw, and it wounds on 3s. So, like, the jaw attack that's then Ren 2 d6 damage. So 3s rerolling 1s is pretty decent.
Yeah, and there is I think there's a command ability on the dragon, either a command ability or a spell, which can give you full rerolls on the wounds, which helps as well, so if you're not charging. The Corpse Fane Gauntlet, which is the mandatory artifact, that gives the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon D3 mortal wounds on a 2-up on the charge. It gives it some impact hits, just a nice push that through a little bit more.
That's cool.
The Royal Mordants Battalion I love, and it ties in nicely with the courtier that the Vargulf courtier that we're gonna hone in on in a second. So Royal Mordants, it basically gives you a hero phase move. I may just check actually, because if it's just hero phase, that's quite nice because you can buff and go. I love a bit of buff and go. So if you've got a hero phase move that you can do after you've got a load of stuff on somebody. So Royal Mordants, in your hero phase, pick 1 unit from this battalion wholly within 16 of the Vargulf courtier from the same battalion. That unit can make a normal move. So if you've got the run and charge off, you can run as part of that normal move. And then move
+1.
Yeah, and it doesn't state that you can't move again in the movement phase.
Wow, so that is a very fast dragon.
Or very fast unit of 9 crit flayers. Or the one thing I wanted to talk about. So people call Gotrek the Ginger Missile, don't they? You often hear Gotrek called the Ginger Missile. Well, this is the Fexaset Missile. And it's the Vargulf courtier. So, he's a beast. This is like your turn 1, pull your opponent's pants down and potentially kill like a whole unit or a monster. I have seen this do like 30 wounds to a Gargant, a Mega Gargant in one go.
Wow. So one Vargulf, how do we do this? This is fast.
So basically, the command trait of Grave Robber gives the Vargulf courtier +1 attack and +1 damage to all its melee weapons when it's within 3 inches of a hero with an artifact. So quite situational. But seeing as you can move in the hero phase, move again, run again, then his trademark name is Zoomy Gangster. Wow, nice, Ben. So yeah, seeing as you can, he flies. I think his base move is probably somewhere in the region of 10 or 12. I want to say 10. There we go. So 10. So he's got a 10-inch move with a 6-inch run, maybe at +1, and then another 10-inch move with a 6-inch run and potentially at +1, and then a charge. Like that boy, he can go, right? He can just whoosh, whoosh, off he goes. So I've done a quick bit of maths, and I know that this is a bit ridiculous because basically this is saying that everything hits and everything wounds, and he gets the spell off.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So on the claws, he's got a base of 4 attacks. He can get +D3 from the spell. He can get +2 from the decanter, and potentially another +1 from the Grave Robber. He has a King's Champion rule on his War Scroll, which is +2 attacks if he's going into sort of large units. So if he ends up going into large unit, great, he gets +2 attacks. If he ends up going into a hero, he gets the attacks and damage from the command trait. So he's got a bit of flex there. It's not just all about one target. But yeah, his claws, that's 10 attacks with rend 1, damage 2. Potentially reroll 1s to hit, potentially reroll 1s to wound. It would be damage 3 if he was going into a hero. So there's 30 damage off the bat. And then his fangs, he has a base of 1 attack, +D3, plus another 2, potentially plus another 1, potentially plus another... Oh no, he doesn't get the extra attacks on the fangs, just the claws. So that could be 7 attacks, rend 2, damage D3 +1.
Wow.
And then he spends a CP and does it all over again.
Whoa. So potentially 60 damage. And then another potential 14 D3 +1.
Wow, you kept up really well there, Rob. It's basically he can get 34 attacks with a potential 116 damage, all with rend on a tiny little base.
And he also's got keyword fly, which is also important as well, right?
Yep,
the Vargulf.
Absolutely.
So if you give him run and charge, if you give him run and charge, and then if you do move him in the hero phase, like he's base move 10, I think, of Varghulf Courtier. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, movement 10. That's correct.
Yeah, so 17 if you CP'd it, because +1. So 17 twice. So you got a 34-inch effective movement phase with fly keyword, and then you charge, and then you just send this nutbag in to go punk something. Is hilarious. That sounds great. Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Love that.
And I think I like the idea of it. It's basically your opponent sets up, and I'd imagine I actually did see a picture of his deployment. So he'd have a couple of lines of ghouls, and then maybe the big 9 flayers at the front and the dragon at the back. And your opponent's thinking, shit, those 9 flayers, they can fucking get right in my face and do an insane amount of damage. And that big dragon's always scary going twice. And then there's this little Varghulf, and you're just like, oh shit, yeah, I don't need to worry about that. And then wallop, he just puts on his Superman cape and just fucking goes mental across the other side of the board and just whomps something. And then it's hilarious. And
do you think he could take out Archeon in a turn?
Yeah, definitely. With the rend and stuff. Yeah. And the fact that there's no mortal wounds in there, so it's all about Archeon doesn't like rend 2. That's what'll get Archeon. Yeah.
Or you can't make 5-up saves, one of those two.
And then, obviously, obviously the courtier normally is there for bringing back the dead ghouls and the dead horrors and the dead flayers. But he can summon another one on from, I believe that's from the zombie dragon, can summon on another Varghulf. So it's not as if he's throwing away like a linchpin support piece that's going to bring back the stuff that dies. He can just bring another one on. So it's kind of like a throw. There we go. There, the dragon can summon a free Varghulf. Thank you, Ben. And then he's got some more summoning in there. He can bring on another a courtier or some knights or some serfs. So he's got a bit of board edge, deep strike, 4 drops. So he's going to get the choice to go first often. So if the opponent doesn't recognize the power of the Fexaset missile, then he's going to get his pants pulled down.
Also, some really key units, which one mental flying danger is actually really, really good into. Obviously, Croak. If you could get into a bunker of those skink priests and take a few of them out, because you don't need that level of output to even do it. You just need the mobility and the opportunity to do so. Teclis going into him, taking out that Lord of Change in a change host, or even just going into the Flamer unit to take out that. So some of those prevalent threats, maybe even taking out a big KO boat potentially, and being able to take that out, would really be a huge positive. So it's quite a unique piece actually, gaming wise. There's very few small based like obviously the Ginger missile, but now the undead missile that's quite cool. That's I really love that. That's super fun. Vibing.
Yeah, I think that it's the small base as well that really counts, and the fly, so we can really get places. I played a little bit recently against the new Eidolon of the Storm, who can deep strike, charge, and then retreat and charge later, and jump over, and he's on an even bigger base. So yeah, I like that. Even just tying up a shooting unit, potentially killing something.
Is this the pun we've been waiting for? The Fexaset missile?
Yeah, see, MJ Pegasus knows what I'm trying to say. I did have a whole thing about it being the Varghulf War, the Gulf War, Varghulf War, and the Fexaset missile.
That worked really well on the 40k Jason show. That would they'd love that.
So yeah, I think we often we play Warhammer to have a great time, and obviously a lot of people play to win. But I think that when you think about your year in gaming, or you look back, it's those stories, isn't it? It's those stories of some mental interaction happening, or you designing something and then it all working out, and having a little hero that can go off and just whomp a unit, or a big, that you can go over and kill the opponent's general on turn 1. Yeah, I think it's cool. It's not only powerful, but it creates really cool moments on the tabletop, which is what we all do it for, right? Memories.
Absolutely. No, I think that's great, being able to put that in there. I think it's the same as looking at Corey's DOK list and just thinking about the stories that are created from those 2 units of little Shadow Stalkers, just nipping around and doing things. Then even Carwin's list, the OBR, thinking about that last Mortek crawler roll to keep a unit alive and on the board is before Crackcross starts bringing some more back into the unit. Is like no, like. So yeah, that's really fun. It looks like a great event as well, run by Simon. Loads of people there. The armies look really good. He did loads of tweeting, so if you want to go follow him on Twitter, it's Yhander, is where you can go find him. Or just search for Simon Hall as well. But it looks like loads of events are going to be coming out of the Queensland area over the next few months, which I'm very excited about, especially as they've just got a really healthy meta, which is fun. There was also two ladies present at the event, which is worth noting, at least. More ladies in the hobby is excellent. Like Gemma, I know really well. She's wonderful. And so just seeing some women represented in the Australian community just shows how good a community is as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. And they both got to play each other, so they could be like the Queen of Queensland then. I think they played each other in round 2, so one of them can have bragging rights over. But yeah, that's great. I mean, you do see a lot of female hobbyists, but not so many female players. So, but yeah, I played a female Warhammer player at my very first tournament, actually, and I thought, oh, this is great. And then I realised afterwards that it was probably not something that happens very often.
Not very common at all.
Scene. No.
If Jonathan Etland's still here, I still remember the Melissa conversation one time. It was maybe my favourite game of Warhammer I've ever had someone tell me about it. Women in my area seem to prefer skirmish games. Interesting. That is interesting. I mean, okay. There are loads of female hobbyists, though, so just great to see more female gamers generally. Hopefully we'll see more coming out of lockdown. Okay, so that was Simon's event. The other thing to talk about is the TTS event that happened on the weekend. Owen, you played in. So this was the online event, Secret Santa. The lists were written by Adam and Darren, and then randomly assigned to players, and they were given out, which is quite fun. So people playing with that. 2 people went 3-0. So it was a Slaves to Darkness list and an Idneth Deepkin list. The Slaves to Darkness list was run by friend of the show, what a gorgeous man, Matt. Yeah, love him. Which I said this earlier. I said this yesterday. Ultimately, the man's been playing Sylvaneth a long time. Yeah, giving him more powerful tools is just scary at this point, right? He's a race car that they've taken the lever off, and they're like, just go.
Yeah, it's really funny. We had a chat at the end of the tournament, and I was saying to him, "Yeah, I bet it feels," because I was the same. I went from Sylvaneth to Bone Reapers, and it was like, "Wow, I get to do stuff." I've got an after damage save. This is amazing. And he was talking himself down, being self-deprecating, saying, "Oh, I don't know how to play Warhammer. I only know how to play Sylvaneth." Because Sylvaneth is obviously a very specific playstyle. So props to him, man, picking something up at short notice. And I mean, it is a good list. There was some less good lists in there, but still, you've got to play it through, and you've got to win those missions. And he was, as you say, he was one of the only 2 players to go 3-0. He beat Mark Brooks with a load of Yetis. He beat the Yeti list. He beat Stuart Ironguts with 4 Harvesters. And then there was a Hollow Morn list in this tournament, and a Flesh Eater Courts list, which Colonel Cabbage was running, and he toppled the Cabbage to take out the tournament.
Yeah, he had a nice little path to victory as well, and some of those lists weren't easy to beat necessarily. No. I'm just looking at the list now. I'm just going to go through it a little bit for you guys at home. So Math Mallow's list that took out the event was, and I'm a big fan of this, so there was 3 lots of 3 Knights of the Empty Throne Varangard. So they're from the Slaves to Darkness Allegiance, they're Knights of the Empty Throne, Knights of the Empty Throne. We've got a command ability to bring one of those units back on a 5-up, and you bring back another unit of 3, not bring that unit back, a new unit of Varangard. They can make it so they lower how many people are on your objective as well. They also make the Varangard heroes, so you end up with some very, very, very tanky heroes, 15 wounds with a 3-up save 3 times, so 45 wounds of heroes, which is pretty good. Do they get the hero keyword or the leader keyword? Because that's actually really important. I do wonder.
I will hold the line, caller.
We'll find out. So then he's got 4 units of Chaos Knights, all within source or weapon, so looking to be in the fight. Then 2 units of Chaos War Shrines. So none of the classic things that you would see in a Slaves to Darkness list, where you would obviously the War Shrines are pretty classic as well, but you don't see the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, which is pretty important. You haven't seen a Be'lakor, which is also pretty important. And you've seen the tripling down on those Knights of the Empty Throne Vanguard. Also, a super fast army as well, able to ignore mortal wounds from spell damage a lot because of the Chaos Knights. They've got that on their shields. So do the Knights of the Empty Throne. So they've got this kind of like nice tank in there. And then there's 2 Chaos War Shrines as well. So they'll be able to give out loads of buffs. And they're also all marked Khorne, and that's really important because they're in the blood-marked warband, which is 1 Mortal Saves to Darkness Khorne hero, then 8 Mortal Saves to Darkness Khorne units. So I think it makes it a 1-drop, or at least it's a low drop. Let me just double check.
If it's 9 units, it'll be. That's a really
9.
good battalion as well. It's a really good battalion. Basically, what happens is if a hero from the battalion, and obviously the 3 units of Varangard are all heroes, if they kill a model in the combat phase, then you can add +1 attacks. So basically, and because the Varangard can go twice, they can get the +1 attack on the second activation. Mark Brooks ran a similar list. I think he actually won one of my events with a list. So yeah, basically, if they kill a model in the combat phase, they get +1 attack. You can choose a unit from the battalion and they get +1 attack. So one of them kills, and then it goes again for the second time, and they get +1 attack, and they've got all the rerolls from all the war shrines. It's pretty savage. It does say, to answer the question you brought up, it does say Fists of the Everchosen. If you're given your army the Knights of the Empty Throne keyword, units, Varangard units gain the hero keyword if Archaon is not part of your army. I don't know about the leader keyword. Somebody in the chat was quite
so default. So
adamant.
Joe was saying that thinks that it's both, it was just interesting for other units attacking it more. Like, if you're targeting a hero, do you get bonus damage? Or if you're targeting, normally those sort of things are keyworded to hero. Very rarely they're keyworded to leader. So I just think that's it's interesting to learn, right? And it's a cool looking list as well. Like, would look awesome. It's a mounted army, basically, which would just look great. I do wonder, Matt's in the chat now, I do wonder if he thinks he would take that to an event, or if he'd end up building the list, because that would look brilliant as well. Really, really good. So yeah, big fan of that. And that took that went 3-0 at least, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that went 3-0 along with Orkman.
I was going to say, we've talked a lot. I do feel Matt deserves loads of credit for doing really well with that. But we've talked a lot about these Varangard units before. Slaves to Darkness and Knights of the Empty Throne become a bit of a hot topic on the show. So you guys will have heard this time and again. But so I don't think we need to reiterate some of those. And I think the other 3-0 list run by Orkman is genuinely quite interesting because there's a lot of overlapping buffs in this list, which I really enjoy. Like, if you had a chance to look at the list properly, because I'll read it out for everyone.
I haven't had a super. I've looked
at bits of it. Yeah. So it's a Morphan list. So then it's got Ishran Soulrender, who's the general, which is important. And then it's got 3 more Soulrenders. So they're going to be bringing back minimum 4d3 Namati Thralls a turn. Yeah, so 8, and if you roll well. And then it's got an Eidolon of Mathlan Aspect of the Storm, which has got the Cloud of Midnight, which is the artifact you will always take. You're able to shut down a combat phase or a shooting phase or something like that. But most importantly, it's got an 18-inch bubble that gives you +1 to wound. And then there's 2 units of Namati Thralls and a Leviathan. So Leviathan's obviously going to give you +1 save on those Thralls as well, which is really important, as well as everything else. So that's really key. The Leviathan, as we know, is a beast in combat, and it's really hard to bring down itself. It's also got that reverberating carapace as well, so I'm pretty certain its Void Drum has got a larger range. I think that's what the reverberating carapace does. I didn't get a chance to check that. If anyone wants to double check for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. He also gives +1 to hit for the Namati Thralls. I know that much because this is actually like a legitimate list that's out there being played. Like those 30 Thralls are like 2. I want to say 2s to hit, 3s to wound, and then -1 damage. Like they will slay a lot of stuff.
Well, this is the thing I wanted to talk about because of their so they've got a 5-up save, which is pretty rough. But they move 6. But don't forget, obviously, you're playing against Idneth. So turn 3, they're having the best time ever. They're fighting everyone first, and they're smashing it. 2 attacks base, 3s and 3s, round 1. Obviously, like Owen said, you can get +1 to hit, so you end on 2s and 3s. And then you can get +1 to wound as well. So I think it's 2s and 2s, right?
It's 2s and 2s, yeah.
2s and 2s, round 1. Now, but the thing that gets me is this sweep and blows ability, because this is what's brilliant, is add 1 to the attacks characteristic of a Lamari blade, which is their weapons. So you add 1 to the attacks characteristic if you're attacking wounds, a wounds characteristic of 1 or more. So if you're fighting a horde that have only got 1 wound each, you've got 3 attacks each now, which is just amazing. However, if they're fighting something that's got 4 or more wounds, they get an extra pip of damage on all their attacks. So it's either 60 attacks, 2s and 2s, rend 1, 2 damage, or it's 90 attacks, 2s and 2s, rend 1, 1 damage, which is just hilarious, you know. And then the ability to res. I mean, Nighthaunt, looking at these guys, and they're triggered like by the level of like healing that you can put, because those soul renders are only 80 points, super cheap. Being able to put D3 back into the unit as well. So it's just, it's a genuinely good list, and I can see, and all respect to Orkman for playing super well as well, but it's also like, it's a good list. Those Namati Thralls are only 320 points. Like, and if you've got all the soul renders within range, you're bringing back roughly 8 to 10 a turn.
I actually think, Rob, that the general brings back flat 6.
Oh, okay.
In Morfan. So, and don't forget that on turn 1, they get +1 save from the Leviathan, and they get +1. They count as being in cover from the turn 1 ability from the Tides of the Deep. So they're on a 3-up save turn 1. So they're good against the Alpha. I think, does he have there's no Soul Scryer, because I think if it would be a more competitive list, you might see a Scryer in there.
No Soul Scryer. But then I think you just want to, thanks Default for subscribing, big love to you. I think you just want to put as many soul renders and put those thralls back in there as well. Like, that attrition fight is rough, ultimately, for how much that they're able to like put back in. There's 2 units, little Reavers as well. They're knocking around, they can do something, but and screen and generally be there. But I really like this list. I think it's really fun, and it also, you can see where the power is. It's got like a lot of overlapping power available to it, right? And because that's a lot of attacks in that fight. So I would love to see that on the tabletop as well. I think probably the only problem with the Thralls on 32mm bases with 1-inch attack.
Yeah, if they had 2-inch range, they'd be one of the best units in the game. It would be insane. So yeah, just that just keeps them in check a little bit. Also, don't. I would never want to undermine anyone's achievements, but the nature of the tournament meant that perhaps you weren't seeing a lot of shooting armies, and so it's no surprise to see 2 combat-heavy armies both win all their games.
That's super fair. That is super fair. And like some of those key targets for Skinks, let's say early doors, would be those soul renders. I think you're really like new to the ability for the army to like attrition fight. But yeah, it's a cool list. And it looked like it was a super fun event as well, right?
Yeah, it was loads of fun. God, I don't know what happened to me that day, though.
Oh, yeah. So how did your games go? What did you play with? How did it go?
Such a salty bitch. I don't know. I was awful. No, I wasn't. I was awful because I wasn't salty in the game that I won, but I was salty in the 2 games I lost. I even started, I don't really drink very often. I started drinking in the last game, and my opponent and I had a right laugh. It was great. But no, it was brilliant. So yeah, I played obviously all 3 games. Game 1, I played Age of Sigmar. He grudged me. That's the first time I've ever accepted a grudge. Ooh. So yeah, it was great. He's been off playing the old laser guns game with little robots. He's been doing a lot of that and running tournaments and having a great time. So it was nice to see him back playing AOS, because I see him. Yeah, I know him as an AOS player. So he had the OBR with the Catacrossian Deathglaive and the 6 Morghast Harbingers.
My boy.
Yeah. He alpha struck me and killed a lot. So for clarity, if anyone didn't know from the show on Friday, I was running pure Eshin Skaven. So I had 3 Vermin Lord Deceivers, a Deathmaster, 2 units of 20 Gutter Runners, 2 units of 10 Night Runners, Warp Lightning Vortex, and Geminids, and the Vermintide. So it was a super finesse kind of army to try and play, but lots of teleports and running around, and I just wanted to bounce around and put endless spells into my opponent. So yeah, first game I lost. And Seb just ground that out, but I did do some fun stuff. Like the whole army re-rolling wounds against heroes is great. So you've got these little assassins going around, and you can really lean into it. Like, you're a target for assassination. And it was cool. And then the second game, I hate to say it, Rob, but I I killed the Legion of Asgore. I played against all the Bull Centaur renders and Drazaroth.
That was clearly written by someone who truly, truly didn't understand how terrible it was. They were like, "Yeah, we'll make an executioner." And I'm like, I don't think you understand quite how bad Bull Centaurs are for their points. But yeah,
It was rough.
Were you underwhelmed massively?
Yeah, I mean, in the first game, the reason I was so salty was because I didn't get Vortex or Geminids off once, but that all came to pass when I played against Mathieu. And on turn one, I gave him turn one. I moved up my pre-game move screen, and what's the big Legion of Asgore dude on like a big winged? Is it Drazaroth the Ashen?
Drazaroth the Ashen. Truly one of the worst rule sets in Age of Sigmar. Yeah, makes a Tree Lord look good.
Well, he YOLO'd in Drazaroth and he brought forward his other stuff. And I gave him the opportunity to come into the middle of the board and like gave him some charges, and he took those charges and things didn't go particularly well. And then I just vortexed and his whole army essentially. And it was so savage, man. I think I did like 22 mortal wounds with Vortex over a double turn. And they're only bravery 6, aren't they? The renders. So they were running away because the deceivers give -1 bravery. It was a massacre. I'm really sorry, Rob. It was a fucking massacre.
It's okay. I understand. We haven't had an update for 3 years, points or anything. Like not a thing.
And you actually got a model who's called Shart, haven't you? And he
Shart or the Executioner.
Shart, yeah.
Shart or get executed.
He got killed by Vermintide. Yeah, he had loads of little rats running all over him and in him. I think Mathieu on his turn 2, he had a Demon Smith, 7 Untamed Beasts, and a unit of 6 renders left. It was pretty rough. That was good. And then in the last game, I played against the Beasts of Chaos list, which was all the Dragon Ogres. And
how was that?
That tilted me a bit. It only tilted me because I took turn 1. I was like, yes, he's castled up in this one block. We're playing on Total Conquest, so he's in that one little quarter.
Yep.
And I did the one trick that I wanted to do, which was one Deceiver teleports another Deceiver, who then goes next to a Gnaw hole to get +1 to cast. And then I put Vortex into his whole army on turn 1. And yes. That spell is nuts. To think that you could do that wholly within 26 on when it first came out. Just blows my mind.
And the fact he got 20 points cheaper.
Yeah, insane.
I love how they were like, don't worry, lads, we've reduced it half range. I'm like, you do understand the army teleports, right? And they're like, what? What? Like you've changed nothing about you changed nothing. Anyway, fine.
So I alpha struck, and then I just got really salty because he unbound Vortex on an 11 on turn 1.
Baby.
And then he double turned me. And this Thunderscorn thing, they were basically getting like a D6 move in the hero phase.
Hero phase, yeah.
And I did spit my beer out and almost call the TO when he said that he has legitimately got a rule, which is if you roll a double if you both roll the same dice on priority, then his whole army got to heal. Did you know that's a thing?
Yeah. But for Dragon Ogres, so like who cares? But yeah.
Yeah, but they were good, man. Like by the end of the game, every unit had like 1 or 2 Dragon Ogres left, and I had 2 Vermin Lords that were just trying to do something. You heard
it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Dragon Ogres are good. Quote
OP,
Owen
baby.
Jackson. Yeah,
OP.
OP, take that one home with you. It's like, I might buy myself some Dragon Ogres. Listen, with Games Workshop production being a problem and maybe the inability for us to even get models out of the UK for the foreseeable future, your local stores may be inundated with a volume, with like, you might be like, it might have to be like scratching, like addicts walking into a store and be like, what you got left? They're like, got some Dragon Ogres. I'm like, will do, I guess. It's the best. I've heard they're OP.
Don't blame me, if you. But the one good thing that came out of it all, I won 1 game, I lost twice, and I came 13th.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. 13th is perfect.
See, I'm a narrative wanker at heart, aren't I?
Yeah, you absolutely. Default is working on an 18 Dragon Ogre commission right now. Oh my god. Can't handle that.
But no, props to Darren and to Adam. It was great. Like. Darren was a bit worried that people weren't going to have a good time playing with their armies, but it was all done in a wonderful spirit. And like, I've gone away and written some Eshony style lists, and I know that there were lots of people talking. I'm sure Math Mallow's like, Varangard, he's never going to look at Durthu again, or the Everqueen, not until we get our new rules. It was so props to them, and want to thank them for putting that on, because it was really good fun, and there are big plans to do it again.
I'm very excited about that. Well, hopefully we'll be free for that one to do the coverage. So I very much, that's exactly up my street for coverage as well. You see all the weird and wonderful list play. Cool. All right. Well, a great week. Obviously, Christmas coming up, so more likely no events occurring. But
I'll stop you there, Rob. I'll stop you right there, sir.
Oh, please do.
Got 2 events to talk to you about. Hey.
Is this from Russia with Love again? Also, Largy, thanks for donating £10 to the show and adding 31p to it, so that it ended up on a flat 149.69. Largy, you are large in my heart. Thanks, babe. What events have we got? I'm excited for this.
Well, we've got 2. Pask, who put on the Butcher's Buffet.
Oh yeah, love that guy.
He's now created a tournament called the Butcher's Tribe. Ooh. So this is a team tournament. So far, I just saw a post from this morning on the Discord.
Yeah.
60 players so far, 20 teams.
Shut up.
3-man teams. I've seen like players from Russian ETC team putting it together, Aussie ETC team put some like this, and there's players from all over. There's a mixture of players who've there's essentially, you can sign up with a 3-man team, or if you don't have a team and you just want to take part, you can sort of post in a specific channel of looking for a team. So there's like little renegade teams being put together.
Yes.
And sign-ups are still open. It's sign-ups are open till the 31st.
And
this is called Butcher's Table.
Butcher's Table.
So if anyone's interested and wants to play some TTS and has got a couple of mates that want to play, or just wants to drop in, then I can give you the link in for the show notes if you want. Rob, perhaps, is that an idea?
Please, that would be lovely. Thank you.
So that starts on the 7th of January, and it's one whereby you play your games over a number of weeks, very much like the Butcher's Buffet. Starts on the 7th of Jan, and you can sign up up to New Year's Eve. And I'm going to put on a tournament, Rob.
Hammer time 7?
And it's going to, because we're all going to eat lots of turkey and Christmas food, it's going to be called the Fat Middle.
Oh!
And I'm going to be putting out some questionnaires to the community in the Hammer Time Discord, and it's going to be called the Fat Middle because we're going to ban all the top armies, and we're all going to play what's in the Fat Middle, because we talk about the Fat Middle. So yeah, Fat Middle GT, and I'm going to do it on, I don't know if this is going to tie in with everybody, but Saturday the 2nd of January, so the day after New Year's Day.
Okay, so day after Nathan Prescott's birthday.
Look at that. So I think, I know that the top tier is a very subjective, and I'm sure I'm going to upset some people by banning their favourite army. But, I'm just riffing a little bit off what the boys did at the weekend in terms of the Fat Middle. You have to ban the weak armies. Yeah, exactly. Somebody did say that as well. But you can take the bottom armies as well. That's fine. So the Fat Middle.
The gristle.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
You just can't have the bone in the middle. Okay. No, I'm in for that. I'm going to play in that one, and I might try and get myself a team for the Butcher's Table. I assume you've got a team.
I have. I've teamed up with a couple of reprobates. It's Benjamin Saver, Laurie Huggett-Wild, and myself.
Oh, fucking hell! Jesus! Watch out, coffee shop near you. Oh dear! All right, I'm gonna get Nathan Prescott on my team and done and supervised.
One thing to note, sorry, Rob, is Butcher's Tribe. You can't have more than one army from the same Grand Alliance.
Okay.
Which is quite a nice little twist.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that a lot. Okay, that's super cool. Great seeing us even ban everything but Chaos Dwarves. I'm into that. Also, Math Mallow, thank you so much for donating 20 quid to the show, to the fund. So we've ended up on 169.69.
Classy.
Classic, and children. And
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much. So much. Yeah. Okay, sweet. That's hype. It's fun. Like, there's some really sad news around in the world at the minute. Like a new strain of COVID. Like we're now on a blight island you can't get in or out of. Who knows? But like, it's still nice to see that we as a community are still trying to like make events happen, play games, like because it's fun and it keeps us motivated and it keeps us interested and it lets us have a laugh like me and Owen have had for the whole show. So thank you so much, Owen. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you for doing this with me, because it's now a collaborative thing, I think. So thank you so much. I bow to thee.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I know that sometimes sometimes I worry about that. I just bollock on, and I'm very happy to be pulled up if I get things wrong by chaps in the chat and what have you. But fundamentally, it's nice to spend some time with you and have a chat with the guys in the chat and everything. And we can all, I always say, learning about the game together and having a laugh while we do it. And being good humans. That's what I like. Yeah.
Same. Rob, keep going. I need cheering up. Oh, sorry again. I'll message you after. What's up? Don't forget, tomorrow we're obviously on the show for the Stream Streak show, and I'm going to be putting a schedule out on Twitter and on Facebook, so do keep an eye out for that, for our Christmas shows, which is going to be all of Christmas Eve, all of Christmas Day, all of Boxing Day. I'm just going to be here, hanging out. I'm probably just going to be painting. People will be calling in. So if someone gets a bit, like, if you get a bit hammered on mull wine at some point, Owen, just call in. You'll be like, I fucking hate Rob. I'm like, what is it, Owen? I'll be like, how much I love you all. I'm like, fucking sweetheart. Yeah. And then tonight, obviously, the Age of Sigmar show, me, Dan, James, Nathan, going to be talking about our naughty and nice list from the year. Which units, I've given them a pretty broad scope. I'm like, write me some nice things, write me some naughty things. So I haven't given them any other parameters, so I don't know what they're going to bring.
That's good. You never know what Nathan's going to bring anyway, do you? So he's probably going to bring some Hobgoblin. Is he sponsored yet?
I don't know. He should be. We'll see. But yeah, that'll be later tonight. So thank you. Thank you to everyone who does listen live. You're all brilliant. Thanks to anyone who's donated to the show. And thank you to everyone on Patreon. Literally couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast. You're really important. And I hope you're well. You got any shout outs before we go, Owen?
Just shout out to Santa. Hope that he finds his way down all those chimneys. And he's had his COVID test, because obviously he's not getting down my chimney without being COVID free. So, shout outs to the big man himself. Hope he gets it all done this year.
If anyone wants to have a fun time, one of my favourite bands is called the Dan Band. So Dan, the Dan Band. They do a song called Mrs. Claus. If you could all give that a listen, and I will be shouting out Mrs. Claus, because Mr. Claus does good work, but it's the women behind us who support us that's the big deal sometimes. So shout out Mrs. Claus. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye.